This question from Karen. Hey, Wendy, I listened to your podcast a few weeks ago when you discussed gearing when climbing, and I have a follow-up question. What are your thoughts about standing versus sitting? This is from Karen.
Again, another great question. So the main reasons that people will stand on a bike is when they're going uphill. If the climb is too steep and they start to slow down their pedaling and their cadence. And if you get below 50 RPMs, that's usually when the point where you're going to have to stand if you're not already standing. So the grade of the hill, the length of the hill is going to cause someone to stand. When you stand, you generate more force, more power, you use more glutes and hamstrings and quads, and you just use more muscle groups to make you get up the hill. Another reason that standing is beneficial is if you're just uncomfortable and you want to change positions, you want to give your saddle a little bit of break, that you're going to stand just to stretch out your legs. And the best time to stand, what I'm going to recommend, is when you're going uphill. Now, one thing I thought about, and I think about this while I'm racing and standing, is if I have a huge tailwind, then I'm actually going to take advantage of that tailwind, and I'm going to stand if needed. If I'm feeling like I need to stand to give my legs a rest or engage more muscles, especially on a flat course, because flat courses, when you're aero for so long, standing is actually beneficial to stretch out your back. I will sometimes wait until I have a tailwind, so I'm giving the more surface area of my body, and the wind is going to push me forward, rather than standing when I have a headwind, when again my surface area is going to increase and I have that headwind, and that's going to slow me down.
Interesting. Yeah, I never thought about standing up with a tailwind. I guess it all depends on how flat your approach is, or if a tailwind going uphill, that might even be better, right? If you stand, because then your body's creating a sail.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Everything you said, I was listening and going, okay, that's why I would stand up, and this is why I would stay down. Okay, yeah, you answered everything I even thought of. Good job. And
yeah,
great question, Karen.
And the thing about standing, I know at least for me, when I started riding my bike, it could be a balance issue. Some people may feel a little bit out of balance because they're going to put a little bit more weight on their arms to help balance them out on that position. So it's definitely something that may take, depending on your experience, a little bit of adjusting and a little bit of getting used to. So practice in a safe environment by yourself in training, when you're just kind of doing some warm-ups and cool down areas when you're alone, just so you're not feeling like you're going to get uncomfortable or unstable and potentially knock into someone. If it's a Peloton, you want to be able to practice on your own.
And I would say this, and I'm thinking about the distances, full distance, half distance, and even an Olympic, I would stand toward the last mile or so to stretch out the legs. After being in the position, aero most likely for hours in a full distance, that you want to stretch your legs in preparation for the run. And just think of all the repetitive motion that you've done in a certain position, and those muscles already be into a certain fatigue, that it's good to let me give those a rest for the next 10 minutes, maybe up out of the saddle a couple times at the end of your race in preparation for the run, just to give them a change of feel before you start going vertical on the run.
Right. And also towards the end of races, I'll usually increase my cadence to get my legs spinning faster on the bike, because it's a little bit it's going to flush my legs out. It's going to use different muscles, and then it's going to get my running legs ready to get off the bike and run. A quick story about standing. So back in the day when I started in the 90s, I was always read that you should sit up and you're going to get stronger if you're climbing in a sitting position. So I rarely stood. I only stood unless I absolutely had to on a climb because it was so steep. And I had a competitor, her name was Terry Duthie, and she would always crush me on the bike. And over the years, when I would race with her, I would see her standing. This was usually in the Boulder Peak Triathlon. I'd see her standing on this big hill, and she was so strong. She would stand and just ride away from me. So because of her, I'm like, well, she stands on climbs. I'm going to start training, and I'm going to start riding my bike up hills standing. And so it kind of changed the way I trained on hills, just because I saw her being so much stronger and faster when she stood on those climbs. So it's just kind of fun fun story to share.